It's the Breaking the Ice bonus brew.
Great. Now we're going to add alcohol into the mix?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Yeah.
There we go. Now we can see and hear each other.
Yeah. So,
What's going on, kid?
Nothing much. So here we are, like, we're approaching Halloween, right?
We are.
And you know, got my Van Halen t-shirt on. That was
very appropriate.
Right. So did you ever were you ever part of any of the AAF morning shows when they did it from Salem at the coffee shop there?
I was, but I was always back in the studio. I never got to go there live. I was always pushing the buttons, pissing off Greg Hill. Right.
Well, I mean, that's a natural occasion on most people, you know, but you know, one year I came home on leave from the Army and LB was like, "Hey man, come up to Salem if you don't have anything going on." I'm like, "Well, I'm home on leave. I got nothing." You know, it's like when he just said that, it was
a kill.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, come on over. Like that was just like kind of a scene from Mrs. Doubtfire when Robin Williams goes, "Take 5. Take 5 million, you're dead." So it was the year Gene Simmons was there, and we were.
Oh, the year that Gene Simmons tried to get LB to take the cap off the pen?
Yeah. Were you there?
No, you were there? You're like Forrest Gump, kid.
What?
I said you're like Forrest Gump. You're everywhere.
Right? So I'm just like, it was the funniest thing ever. Like, I never realized how Gene Simmons, Kiss, no big deal. You know, a lot of hit songs, but the animosity that him and Greg Hill have for each other is astounding.
Or that LB had for Gene Simmons. He would talk about that over and over. Like,
oh my God,
that guy thought I would take his pen cap off for him. I played for the Bruins.
Like, I was in that immediate area, and he looked at us. Does this?
I mean,
we're like,
no wonder
LB goes, "I'm not taking the fucking pen cap off, Gene."
But can you imagine being that famous to the point where you think a stranger is going to take a pen cap off for you? I mean, that's...
Well, the whole thing with that was, Josh, it opened up a can of worms because we started swilling back beers at that time after that.
You're kidding.
And no, never.
You?
Have you ever seen that happen?
You or Elp? No.
No. And then,
were you a firefighter at this point?
No, I was still in the Army. I was.
Oh yeah, you said that.
Overseas.
So I don't believe the beers part.
No, never. So with that said, it was like that opened up a can of worms. Like, there's a waitress walking by, and Gene goes, "Oh, look at that. That looks like a really nice muffin." And LP goes, "Well, Gene, maybe if you ask one of the waitresses for it, she'll probably get you one."
I just love how honest he is. Like,
all right. So, here's a funny story.
If you order one, you might be able to get one.
You might be able to get one if you ask the waitress. So, switching gears, we'll stay on hockey somewhat. So Andrew Ferentz gets me in the rookie camp for the Edmonton Oilers back in right after 2013, 2014.
First of all,
what?
Just to stop you real quick. I've known you for a long time. I've known that you've been friends with Andrew Ferentz and you've been friends with the Bruins. The year they made the run, the Stanley Cup final run where they lost to Chicago, their jacket, the Army Ranger jacket that the Bruins would wear after every win that they would hand off to each other was your Army Ranger jacket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I knew that about you, and I knew you played hockey. I knew you played sports, but the one thing that you always just drop into our conversations where I'm like, that is that you say things like, "Oh yeah, so I was in training camp with the Oilers." What are you talking about?
Rookie camp. It really didn't mean anything anyway, but like it was like kind of a cool thing to do, and it was really for the younger kids for like a team building aspect more than anything else.
Why
But
were
like,
you
I mean,
why were you in rookie camp? Could you have gotten a slot? Because you'd strike me as a kid that could just, if you just set your mind to it, you'd be like, yeah, I made the NHL. You just do things like that. You're like, yeah, I just became an Army Ranger. Yeah, I'm just a Boston firefighter. Yeah, now I cut down trees. I made the NHL. You just
well, we'll hit on something in totally different in a minute. But like that just like came out of nowhere. And it was a really fun time. Like I got to meet Leon Draisaitl, who ended up having an unbelievable year. And it was the year before we drafted.
I'm still listening. My computer's about to die. I just got to run in the next room and grab the plug.
You want to take my pen cap off then?
Whew, just made it. All right. So Draisaitl.
So I got to meet him and Darnell Nurse and all those guys, and ended up like
and that was when Ferentz was captain?
And that was when that was right before he became captain. So it was just like, come on out here, help the guys out, like do some team building stuff, like it'd be great. And I did some stuff in conjunction with the Canadian Army, and it was great. And I got to actually skate with the Edmonton Oilers, like in Jasper. And they have their training rookie camp out there, so it was pretty cool. But for me to be out there was great. It was an honor, and it was you're at a level where not many at all make it to, and you got to realize like how good like the worst player on a professional team is.
Yeah, but
there is no such thing as a player like that, because they can kind of hold their weight. You like realize this about people, but like it progresses. Like it's, I'm up there for a few days, and, it's not very long. And, it was like, right. I think Peter Chiarelli had just become the GM as well.
Oh, that year.
Yeah. So, there's kind of like this would be a good fit. This would be a great guy. Like the Bruins tried to do that actually with Bobby Robbins one year. And it actually worked out well in the beginning stages, but they needed to win hockey games, and
they tried to do what with Bobby Robbins?
What's that?
They tried to do what with Bobby Robbins?
So Bobby Robbins ended up playing, was a career AHL guy, great kid too, very tough kid. And they put him they made the starting lineup. The kid hustled on every single play. He fought harder than a lot of other guys. And he's a very nice individual. And he's probably one of the hardest workers you'll ever see on the ice.
Yeah. A lot of those enforcers really are. And like you said that, like when you really like get close to those guys and you find out like the worst guy on an NHL team is the best fucking hockey.
He's really the best.
Oh my God. To make a team, like even LB, like he was such a skilled player. And like he told me multiple times that like he was like, dude, like there were guys that were way more skilled than me, but it was just that they weren't that into it, and it's just about showing up every single day and not giving up. And then also he was like Sean Thornton. Like you think of Sean Thornton as a fighter.
He's another great guy.
He has one of the best penalty shot highlights you'll ever see, because like to get to the NHL, you need to be one of the best skilled hockey players, and it's the best.
You know how many times he tried to do that on Tuukka?
Every day in practice.
Yeah, much. He looks back at Tuukka in the middle of the circle and nods his head at it, and Tuukka's laughing the whole time.
That was coming.
Yeah,
but it was just like even becoming friends with some of the Bruins. It's like. just knowing like what they had to go through to get to that point.
Right.
And like guys like LB, where he's like, dude, I wanted to score. I scored a hat trick, and Don Cherry yelled at him for it.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
dude, don't think you're going to go out there and start scoring goals. He's like, you're on the team for a reason and one reason only. So let's not get carried away. And he got benched for putting the Bruins ahead.
Yeah. So one of LB's funniest stories is of Jay Miller one time, and they were playing in Philadelphia, and Millsy, Jay Miller never was a fighter, and he was an enforcer, and he played the game. He was a tough guy. He was not a goal scorer, but I guess they were playing in Philadelphia one time, and they're going in the second period, and Jay Miller scores 2 goals in the game, or scores 2 goals in the second period. They're going in the locker room, and then you hear LB was like, yeah, and then we're going in the locker room, and all I hear is J-Bo in the background goes, hey guys, feed me, I'm hot.
But I love hearing like those kinds of stories from those guys like LB, like when he would tell me about like iconic moments that he was involved in, like against the Whalers. There was this bench fight where LB basically started. Started.
I mean, there's so many of those.
Yeah, he started a bench brawl, and
him and Bruce Shoebottom were the 2 biggest instigators of the entire team.
But LB was telling me about. I think it was maybe right. I think he was telling me the story when me, him, and Shu were doing afternoons on AAF, because me and him had a lot of time to like. There was just a lot of music for that afternoon show, so there was a chat time, and he was saying that when that fight with the Hartford Whalers started, he was like, yeah, Reggie Lemlin was like opening the door because he was trying to let somebody in, and one of the Whalers was trying to start a fight with me, and then like. The Whalers guy tried to get into our bench, and then I fell, and he was like, and it wasn't Reggie Lemlin's fault. He was trying to open the door, be a nice guy, and I fell out, and the refs thought I was, trying to get into their bench or whatever. And then as he's sitting there, I like Google that fight, and we're watching it together. And LB he's behind the glass on the Bruins bench, throws his gloves off, and jumps onto the ice and is trying to get into the Whalers bench, and he's like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I'm watching you try.
So we got that story. That's always a great story, and you can YouTube that anytime. Here's something you won't be able to YouTube. So it was like pretty cool, at the end of like all that rookie, like all that stuff. They're like, hey, would like, you want to come back? I'm like, I think
they invited you back, and you're like, eh.
No, I'm like, well, that was just like when I got on the fire department too. So, I'm like,
everything that I would never be able to do, you're just like, I can't.
But like, here's the thing. I'm like, guys, I really appreciate everything you guys, your hospitality. I go, Andrew Ferentz is going to do a lot of great things for this team. Benoit Pouliot's going to be great. That was when they signed Benoit Pouliot. And that was a good signing for them too, to be honest with you.
The Oilers?
Yeah. And because he played great there. He did great, and whatever the case
I do blame Benoit Pouliot for a bad change against the Washington Capitals. I was at Game 7.
That series. Look, honestly,
either getting on the bench or stick with the play guy. But also,
that series was over when we lost the first game of that series. That was, like Washington wanted way bad more than us, and honestly, that was the emergence of Braden Holtby, and Braden Holtby was
the
lights out.
And he's still a Bruins killer, which is why we should sign him now.
No, but it is what it is. So this whole thing is going on. They're like, yeah, it's gonna be great. Like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I think I'm gonna. I'm happy. Like, I'm just gonna go back to Boston, I go, but do me a favor, get everybody, like, telling the PR guys, I'm like, hey man, let's get everybody out to center ice and stuff like that. And everybody's like, really? What? Okay, I'll sign everything right here in the center ice. But I didn't. So my only memory that I had of that whole day is still my screensaver on my computer. See that?
That's you with the coaches and some of the players.
That was it. And that was it. There was just the coaches, the trainer, the equipment guys. That was it. That was good enough. Fine. So the PR guy comes. He goes,
what bugs me though. They were asking you to come back to training camp, and you're like,
I don't know if it was like going to be really amount to anything, and it wasn't really going to amount.
But
to
with
anything.
you, it probably
that wasn't good.
Because, like I said, you're Forrest Gump. You're
right. Well,
you excel in everything.
So the funniest thing is, like, about this whole thing, like, they had already had their minds made up. This is happening. The PR is like, hey man, so we appreciate that. It's a very respectful gesture. Everybody's very moved by it, right? So it's like, this is the start of something new in the Edmonton Oilers organization. This is huge. But he goes, listen, we have this thing at Eskimo Stadium that you're going to have to do, and I can't get you out of it, and you're going to have to do it. So what it is, it's like, they go, it's called Meet an Oiler Night in Edmonton. And it's like they put players from the Oilers at Eskimo Stadium inside the arena. And they're like,
so is it like the wives card?
Like, you got to do that. So what they do is they take the Jumbotron, they're like, during a TV timeout, or right before the TV timeout's over, the PA announcer goes, all right, Edmonton Eskimo fans, it's your time to meet an Oiler. And everybody starts cheering. This
is it going to be Craig McTavish?
Like, here it comes. Like, tonight, if you can find out where your favorite Edmonton Oilers are sitting in this stadium, you can walk up and meet an Oiler. And it's just like, all right. And then they start announcing the names. And defenseman number 21, Andrew Ferentz. The crowd's going wild. Forward number 7, Benoit Pouliot. And defenseman number 11. And they said my name, and the crowd just goes, I'm like, fuck. Anyway, so they all find out where we are.
It was on former Boston night.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're all coming. All these people are coming over. They're like, oh my God, they're like, very cool to meet you. I'm signing people's shirts for never stepping
you
on
actually
the ice.
sign them? I've declined signing stuff when I've been with Bruins because I feel so bad.
Yeah,
people come up to me like, what position do you play? And I'm like, I'm not, you don't know. Keep moving.
You don't get it. So all these people are coming up to us and we're signing shit. And we're going through this. We're taking pictures. And like 5 minutes into it, I get this fucking 13-year-old kid goes, oh my God, Benoit Pouliot, Andrew Ferentz. And the kid gets to me and he goes, who's this fucking guy? and Andrew Ferentz couldn't stop laughing. And he goes, oh, that's Lucas Carr. It's he's a free agent defenseman. And the kid goes, he goes, do you think you'll play? I'm like, fuck you little shit.
This is a judgy little kid. I mean, you're in Canada. What can you do?
I'm like,
they're
fuck
serious.
you little shit. Like, who's this fucking guy? And Ferentz like, that's Lucas Carr.
I mean, the things
free agent
like
defenseman. You think you'll play? Fuck you little shit. So like the rest of the night,
you just said, "Hey, Andrew Ferentz rode his bike to the game."
Yeah. Like, you're like, you're going out. You're with your guys. Like who you with? Like, I'm with this guy. I'm that guy. That fucking guy. Like,
do you think you'll play?
You think you'll play? Like, what?
The questions that, like, as a kid that you think are okay for like professional athletes are just hilarious. Once you become like an adult and then like any profession that you're in, like especially radio, like the questions that I would get in radio that I'd be like, why do you think that's an okay question to ask?
Like, hey, ask a radio question. Hey, what's your bandwidth? Like, fuck, I don't fucking even know that.
But it's just like kids that I would grow up with. Like if somebody works at like, you know, like a real estate office or like, you know, just like a normal, like traditional job, you don't walk up to them and go, how much money you made this year? But like for some reason in radio, kids would that I went to high school with be like, you're pretty well off now, huh? How much money you make? And I'm like, huh?
I got a house with walls and money in it.
I've had to redo some drywall, so there's your answer.
There's your answer, man. Hey, he was on SNL last night and he did great.
He was. I didn't see it.
Great.
Everyone's been talking about Bill Murray.
He picks on white women and he's so right.
He really, right. I mean, he definitely is right. I don't know what he said, but I know he's right.
He's right. He goes, yeah, you're having a hard time chilling out in the jacuzzi with your chilled rosé.
Dude, the last year, before AF went under, before the world ended, and before
I still have a hard time really thinking about that because
it's weird.
There were like, you know, there were so many fun times with like the changing of the guards with like AAF and everything, and like, you know, everybody changes. Like, you know, a lot of people reach out to LB anymore because he's not on the radio. Well, I know I do, because it's somebody I love and I care for a lot, and it's somebody I always enjoyed being around because there are more funny memories to not be rekindled by just talking to somebody when they need you to be there to talk to them, you know?
Yeah.
And there was like one time we took LB down. It was me, Andrew Ferentz, and LB, and we went down to Fort Benning, Georgia. And I had like used my Waze app on my phone, and it took me on a tank trail. And there's signs everywhere that we should not be on this fucking trail.
Does that mean like tanks?
Yeah, like tanks. This is a training trail for tanks.
But you know how to disarm them single-handedly, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. So like the bizarreness of like that whole trip was we were on a tank trail, and that was like right around when Hurricane Sandy hit, I think, or no.
Yeah.
I think it was right around
2013.
Yeah. Sandy
yeah, that was
hit.
Sandy.
So that was like right around when Hurricane Sandy hit, right? And our fucking flight back to Boston was canceled. And I'm like, dude, LB, I got to get back home. I don't know about you. And if I can find the video of him with his head out the window, where we were luckily able to get from Atlanta to Philadelphia, and that was a chore by itself, but we were able to go from Atlanta to Philly, and then we got on the plane in Philly, and they're like, yeah, the emergency brake's broken, and then LB's like telling people, you don't need an emergency brake to fly a plane.
You're in the. It sounds so much like him. That's amazing.
Like he goes, you don't need this. I'm like, LB, shut up. It's only like 5.5 hours from Philadelphia to Boston. We'll just drive. We'll get a rent a car and we'll drive.
His ability to not sweat the small stuff is just, you know.
Yeah. Like we'll just.
You don't need a break to land a plane.
And he goes, well, you don't mind driving the whole way, do you? I'm like, no, cool. Can we stop and get a case of beer? So we like grab this kid, we met from California, and he was visiting. He goes, "Yo, I gotta get back to Boston too." So it was the three of us navigating through a hurricane coming up the coast. And here I am with LB in the back of a car drinking beers.
My God.
And I'm trying to get back to run a tree company where I run a tree company, and I got to get back because the hurricane's going to hit. And LB's like, it's not a big deal. We'll be fine. LB, I own a tree company. He goes, oh, yeah. We might need to get back for that, huh?
Listen, you don't need to be sober to cut down a tree, kid.
And I'm like, I got to drive. Like,
gravity goes only one way.
So I think in every state we stopped and we like did a video and we like watched he was calling me Gus the whole time because we watched the Home Alone clip where they're in the back of the van. Oh, just a bunch of polka bums. Gus Polinski, polka king of the Midwest.
John Candy.
Yeah. Polka twist, kiss me polka, So we went on a tank trail and we drove through a hurricane.
No, these are the kinds of
hours.
This is ridiculous because these are the kinds of stories that like LB would tell, and I'd be like, how much of this is true? And typically, 100% of the time, the story would just be 1,000% true because you'd end up talking to the people that he was talking about in the stories, like Woody Harrelson or like any of these other celebrities, and then it would just end up being true when you finally talk with them. But it was, and especially like knowing you, and like I always think about this. Like I've drank with LB. And you have too. And I've drank with I've drank with people in the military, army people, firefighters. All of them can drink way more than anybody can ever drink ever. Right. And I didn't really understand that until I drank with all these individual groups. And you are an army person, a firefighter, and you're in the professional athlete, especially hockey world. And I don't know how you do it, but how do you keep up with that drinking?
Oh man, like it catches up to you as it is now to me, but I'll tell you what, man,
but like a firefighter or like drinking with an NHL player or just with an army person, excuse me. Let
me clarify this right now. This year, I never realized how long a seltzer hangover lasts.
Seltzer?
Yeah, like all those White Claws and
it's the sugar.
Trulies, all like. Yeah, you'll be in the moment and you'll be sucking those things back like yesterday's newspaper.
It doesn't feel
like,
it doesn't feel like anything, but then you realize the endurance of those white chicks.
2 days after all that happens, like 2 days after, you're like, oh.
Dude, I've had a rough time.
What?
Yeah, and then you got to step on the scale, and it's brutal.
Yeah, you're like having the convulsions and contractions like Sigourney Weaver having a fucking alien. Like, like that. It's coming out of your chest like,
I don't know what that reference means, but yeah.
Well, the movie Aliens, when the fucking shit comes out of their chest.
E.T.?
No, Aliens, like the movie.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't
Sigourney Weaver. Jesus.
I don't know who that is.
It's a fucking awesome movie when you get a chance.
Thank God Shoe's still not in this.
Dude, come on, man. You don't know it?
No, I don't.
Like Prometheus or anything?
You were speaking Chinese now. No, I don't know. I don't know what you're saying.
I mean, some of your viewers will get that, but obviously you don't, which is fine. But
I mean, it just pops up that there's a lot of things I don't know. We have oh God, we have 52 people watching.
oh,
These people, hey, how's it going? I mean, these bricks are fake. They're because I have money stuffed in these walls. So anyway, this is Lucas Carr. He is a former firefighter, former NHLer, apparently. And you know,
no,
you just
no, I'm not taking credit for that one.
I'm giving you credit for it.
For that one.
How many people do you know get to go to training camp and ask back and they just go, nah?
Andrew Ferentz was the one that really kind of set that all up. There was really nothing to do with like any skill level I had. It was really kind of like the Army training that was just like putting me into a category where I can teach these guys.
Right. And then also,
that was really it.
You also may know Lucas Carr from a video I posted around Easter where he was the Easter Bunny going through South Boston on the back of a
log truck.
Log truck. Thank you. I was trying to say tree mobile, but that's completely wrong. But yeah, you were the Easter Bunny through South Boston at the height of Corona, and you just brought, you know, Easter to everyone that, I mean, everyone was stuck inside, and then you just, you know, that was amazing to see. Like I missed you by like 2 seconds because I was in traffic. I don't know why there was traffic in the middle of coronavirus. But you gave me the address to meet up with you in South Boston, and I pulled up and the log truck was just starting to pull away. And I have the video of you and the Easter Bunny being like, hey, jump on the back of the truck. And I was like,
get on the truck.
But I jumped back in my car and I followed you all through South Boston. It was just amazing.
It was on the newspaper. It was a good time, man. You know, and that was like a trying time still for everybody. And
yeah, everyone was still terrified and scared. They didn't know what was happening. Everyone was hiding inside. And, you know, Easter was canceled, which was weird. And you were on the back of a flatbed truck dressed as Easter, like a legit Easter Bunny. And it was amazing to watch, even like the people just trying to go out for a walk just to get away from like the craziness of being inside in the internet, and the way everyone was lighting up seeing you on the back of that flatbed truck. It was amazing.
It was pretty cool. And you know, like that entire day was pretty cool, pretty special. Boston Fire Department, State Police, Boston Police, everybody got involved, and the whole entire community as well. It was great. Everybody, you know, it was just something that just it was a rolling thing, and blah blah blah. Like, this is great. Easter Bunny, like, not a social gathering. It's not this, it's not that. Guys, we're just on the back of, this is what we're doing. End of story. And you know, now we're in a position where, like, when is it going to be okay to not have to worry about any of that? Like, you know, here we are.
I feel like it's going to be after.
Like, we don't know. We don't know, but we just want to get the right thing to happen. And you know what, Josh? I think everybody wants the right thing to happen so we can go back to normalcy. And
I mean, there's people that, you know, they're like super afraid of it. There's people that aren't afraid of it, but it's just like nobody really knows anything. And it's just,
no.
You know, when can we go back to when, you know, we were just being silly geese at the Tool show, you know?
So
last time, well, besides when you were in the Easter Bunny costume, that's the last time I saw you in person.
We made that seem normal anyway, so whatever. But it's, you know, you've been doing great with everything, and you know, this is a new, and you know what? Like, on a side note, like, honestly, many prayers to Dak Prescott for a full recovery. That was a nasty injury.
What happened?
Poor guy. Broken. I mean, everything broke below the knee.
Was this a who
today?
Their leg.
During the game, during the Cowboys and Giants game, it was just
I'm not a football guy. But I think we were talking about it earlier on Breaking the Ice. Or Shu and Isaiah were talking about it before they bailed.
Right.
Who does Dak Prescott? I'm not a football guy. I'm trying hard right now.
All right, man. Don't worry about it. I'm not a lot of things.
You are a lot of things. There's a lot of things. And also one thing, I mean, we've been going for a while, but I mean, we just got to do one in person soon with me, you, Shu, maybe Isaiah. I mean, Isaiah's wild, but
do you guys want to do that on my roof deck in my house?
Yeah, dude. Whenever
it overlooks the whole city and all the expressway.
And you got a boat too. So, I mean, just.
Yeah, it's coming out of the water in about 2 weeks. So we should probably plan on that pretty soon.
That summer went by in 7 minutes, huh?
About 6.5.
Yeah, you're right. 6.5 minutes. But again, just to, I didn't bring this up on the last podcast that we did with you. You were on one of the very, very beginning, like as soon as AAF went off the air, you were on one of the very original episodes. And you were a sponsor, Pathfinder Tree Service. And there's like we've talked about everything from you from the NHL, Andrew Ferentz, to you being a firefighter, Army Ranger, and
Hold on 1 second, buddy. Oh shit.
We lost.
You got me? No, you didn't.
Yep,
there we go.
You're back.
Damn me.
Look at all the awards this kid has.
It's nothing. All right, now we go.
Nothing. But another thing I wanted to bring, I feel weird bringing this up, but you were there on April 15th.
Yeah.
At the marathon. And you were one of the first, I wouldn't say you were on the scene when it happened. And
well, unfortunately, yeah. But I mean, there was a lot of people there that kind of did their job that day, and I don't want to say it like that. That did their job that day, and
jumped into action.
Jumped into it, and the craziness about it. My ex-girlfriend at the time, my girlfriend now, ex-girlfriend at the time. Craziness is about that was the Friday night prior to that happening. I don't watch all those movies and shit about like the military. Like we watched Zero Dark 30. It was when SEALs went in and killed bin Laden.
Yeah.
And I was explaining, like something happened in the movie. I'm like, fuck, why did that happen? And then I was explaining to her about what an explosion sounded like. And holy shit, Monday during the marathon, like that happens, right? So that happens. People spring into action.
What a real explosion is. You know the difference between.
What a real like that. I remember looking up
after just running an entire marathon.
Yeah, shit was hitting the fan. Nobody knew what was going on. Like a very, very high percentage of people didn't know what was going on. It was explosions, and there were I guess there were other detonations or other bombs that didn't detonate. And
like under the bleachers and
so all that happens, right? Boston gets hit with a tragedy during a charitable event of the Boston Marathon, right? So where we are, how that happens is, it changes everybody. It changes the whole portfolio of what a marathon is now, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Will the Boston Marathon ever be the same? Well, probably not. It's going to be remembered because of that year. Going forward after this year, is the Boston Marathon ever going to be the same? Hard to decipher that. But on that day of the Boston Marathon bombings, it was so unprecedented on how everybody reacted after.
Yeah.
And the year after the bombing of the Boston Marathon was the largest Boston Marathon ever. And
that's the first year I ever went was the year after. And I was like, the first year I ever went to a marathon was the year after the Boston Marathon bombing. And I was like,
that was the first time I met you. Because I was in there talking about the Travis Roy Foundation.
Yeah.
And God bless that kid, man. He's great. But that year I was running for the Boston Bruins Foundation, and I'd usually be pushing Matt Brown, but that year he had a really bad pneumonia, and I wasn't pushing him that year, so I just ran myself.
Yeah, that was the year that you came into the AF studio, right?
No, 2014 was.
Oh, okay. Oh, gee, that's still a long time.
So it all blends together. But when everything happened and how it happened, it still like left Boston in awe. But what do you do in a situation like that, guys? It's just like, you really hate to say it, and you don't want to antiquate military experiences to a civilian life where you live back in the States, because there are two totally different worlds when you go from fighting a war back to home. And there were some people on edge. Some people will never forget that. But when you're on patrol and when you're doing a mission and bad shit happens, you got to regroup and figure it out for the next day or the next minute.
A situation like that is kind of like, just from your background of being an Army Ranger and, being overseas and seeing like actual, battle or action, that like something like that is like kind of muscle memory where you do jump into action. Because I feel like someone like me, where like a Mark Wahlberg, where he says things like, "Oh, dude, if I was on that plane on 9/11, that fucking thing never would have flown into the shut up,
well,
dude."
I don't know about that.
Like
but
as soon as something goes down, like I've been in situations, like especially after the marathon bombing, me and my wife were in a bar in Boston, and this dude came in with a backpack and dropped it next to us and then left. And I was like, that's a bomb. And like, because that's how the Boston Marathon bombing happened, was a dude dropping a backpack. So it's just like, like anyone that's, getting on an airplane with no luggage, like, what are you doing? Like after 9/11, you're on edge. And I felt like after that, I was just like, well, I don't want to be rude and like, turn this guy in or whatever. But we did go up to the people and be like, hey, listen, there's a backpack that was left, and we just got out of there. And I felt so bad after that. We like,
you gotta stay vigilant, buddy. Like that shit, that shit
but I felt bad that we left. I felt bad that we left. And then I think of like, what would you do? You probably wouldn't have left. You probably would have opened the backpack yourself.
Like, hey,
and
come here.
Exactly. So that's why I'm thinking like a lot of people talk like this tough game, like, yeah, if I was there, I would have stopped it. But like being in situations where I'm like, no, if something like that did come up, I think I'd kind of turtle. But somebody like you, I know, would be like, hey, fuck face. Come here.
Pretty much.
What's in the bag? Is it peanut butter and fluff or no?
Now you know what that is.
And now
it's gotta be your fluff. But you know what, Josh? Like, really, now here we are, and like all your viewers and everybody that has an opportunity to look at something and to view something as its platform is, and as the experience provides itself to the human being, like whatever in the American eye. Like, all right, 9/11 happens. Right? We viewed on looking at America now as we just got attacked. We had a terrorist attack happen, and America turns around. We fight a war on terrorism that helped a lot of things. But when the terrorist attacks happened, we had everybody on board, like, one nation, undivided, and God bless America. Like all those flags were everywhere. Sports were uniting individuals again, and communities, and sports were making their move.
Who you voted for, it was just like red, white.
Didn't matter.
It
didn't matter. And just a side note for like everybody that wants to, I'm a neutral party,
or pronoun you used either. It wasn't like
didn't matter. Boston Marathon bombing happens. Again, unites everybody around here. everyone around
To the
here
point where
was-
everyone, without rehearsal, sings the national anthem over Rene Rancourt.
right? United there. United that aspect. The Boston Red Sox won the World Series that year. The Bruins go to the Stanley Cup Finals and lose to the Blackhawks. You know, like now you have all those things. You have a sport, you have a community, you have everybody around you. As you are down, you are brought down because this happened, and now you are being built back up, which is a very military way of having it happen individual for something you volunteered for, right?
Yeah.
So you get beat down and be built back up. Boston Marathon, tragedy happens, the bombings happen. We got the 9/11 thing
Who wasn't
happens.
proud to be from Boston or America?
I mean, you fucking name it, man. That shit was fucking happening. You were from Boston. Even if you weren't even from Boston and you were from, like, I don't know,
You were
Douglas,
from
Mass or something.
Air, Massachusetts. You were like, I'm a
Air.
Bostonian.
Yeah, I'm from Boston. Yeah, right. Let's go. You know?
I'm from New Hampshire. I'm from Boston.
Yeah. When you call like the fire department, what's the name on the side of the truck? It's Hookset, New Hampshire. Yeah, you're not from Boston.
My wife is from Manchester, New Hampshire. She said when she studied abroad in England, she was like, nobody in England knew what Manchester or New Hampshire was. They were from Boston, and everyone's like, oh,
Boston. So
looks at New Hampshire.
So the whole point of that, like being said, you're like saying something about the Boston Marathon and being at the finish line, and like, you know, that probably took me about a whole summer to get over, right? That probably took me about a whole summer to get through all of it. Like it took time. Like it just didn't fucking happen overnight. It took time because something like had made me angry that it happened here. And I, you know, as an individual who was part of working with great people and walking with giants and taking care of the earth that, you know, that I got to walk with giants and, you know, watch over her country and take good care of her. You know, that's what we think of America as our mother, you know, we would do anything we could to not let her be harmed or let it be harmed. And the biggest thing about that is just, we found a way. Now, with everything that's happening right now in America, doesn't matter who you're voting for. I don't really care. All that I just want, like, if we're going to be beat down this bad with everything that's going down with the coronavirus, and, you know, you can't say certain things on social media without getting backlash or being corrected by certain aspects. Listen, you know, let that happen as much as you want, but hopefully at some point in time, we're going to need to build the sporting community back up again. We're going to need to build that restaurant community back up again. We have a lot of
places where all like, as I liked how Doc Rivers said it, that is a church.
Yeah.
A sporting event. Like for me in 2013, I was in the greatest bar on Friend Street when Rene Rancourt did that national anthem, or where he didn't do the national anthem, but the crowd took over. And through that entire year, it was just, I felt so proud to be in Boston and be at the greatest bar surrounded by Bostonians. And it didn't matter who you voted for, if you hated Bush or if you hated Obama or if you hated Donald Trump, it didn't matter. We were all from.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Barack Obama really did a pretty good job with
that speech,
you know,
at the church,
outreach and everything, with the speech and everything. And like, no matter what the circumstances were, like,
he did handle amazing.
He loved like being around support to build it back up. You know, like he was a good guy for that.
Knew the right words to say for that, because like when you're the president and something happens to a city like that and you walk in and you're like, hey, listen, your sports teams are going to win the championships. I don't care what New York or Chicago says. You guys are going to win. And I mean, the Bruins went to the finals, the Red Sox won.
The Patriots came pretty damn close.
I mean, they won you can't win every year, but
no.
What can you do?
But like the logistics of that whole thing, Josh, is like, America right now is getting beat a little bit, but we're at the process of rebuilding right now, and we're coming back. And like, I want to see what America comes back at after all this bullshit is gone, when that church is filled with fans watching their sports, when that restaurant is filled with people
if the
without a
restaurant's
mask.
even there, though.
What's that?
I said if the restaurant is even still there.
Yeah, it'll be there. But like,
I hope.
A couple things that like cease to amaze me. It's just like we're gaining ground on this whole thing. And everybody has to like look at that. But, if we're going to get beat down like this as Americans, I really want to see what we're going to come back at in another year from now.
But the only concerning thing
awesome.
is it's us that's beating us down. It's not an outside thing. It's not another country it's not like a Pearl Harbor where it's like, oh, the Japanese want to take us down, or it's like a 9/11 where we have another group that we're like, oh, they're trying to take us down. It's us versus us. And it's just like a weird like time and feeling that I'm like, maybe it's
Josh,
the election year, or I don't know. I hate to say it, but I miss 9/11 for 9/12. I miss the Boston Marathon for what happened I don't miss those events, but I miss how everyone is so unified after those events.
WAAF.
Right.
But like, if you're really gonna, if we like as individuals are gonna antiquate it to this portfolio, and we really look at everything that is what it is right now, you think of everything right now as like it's us against us, right?
Yeah.
So you would obviously agree, and many people would agree, that are a lot of things blown out of proportion right now for no apparent reason, that probably somebody could have just regauged everything, looked at it and be like,
or ignored, because I mean, if you're going to lose your job because you're eating the wrong syrup, I mean, that's an issue.
Yeah. So like, if it's come down to that, then be that guy that's the stronger guy that can, or woman, or whatever the case may be, that can look at it, reanalyze it, and be like, you know what? It's not so fucking bad. You know what? I'll tell you what. We'll take care. It's kind of like, look at the longevity of just taking that step back right then and there. Just like,
yeah.
You know what? It's actually not that bad. I'll wait another 20 minutes or something like that. I don't care. What's 20 minutes? 20 minutes when somebody really needs to have it now. These fucking phones we could call in airstrikes with, for God's sakes. Like, everything's right there. When I was trying to hook up to this Zoom app right now, I'm like, oh man, my fucking hubcaps outside my house suck. But like, I think a lot has changed, and it's changed people, but I think maybe we come out of this a different breed, a lot smarter.
I think we're already a different breed.
Yeah, we
just don't know what we are yet.
But there's a lot of good things that can come out of this, which are starting to happen.
Yeah,
slowly starting to happen. But
I've been having a great time. I know a lot of people aren't having fun, but I've been having a great time. I mean, I just keep getting to do radio like I was doing, but now I don't have to put pants or shoes on to do it. So
right,
you
use shoes.
Yeah, sometimes.
These shoes.
I have shoes on, but no pants. That's I mean, we get wild.
But yeah, man, there's a lot of good things to come here. You're gonna look for everything that's happening right now. I mean, football will eventually be football again. Baseball is gonna be baseball.
And you're gonna sign with the Oilers.
If somebody shut the heat off tonight, I know why. But hockey's what?
I said if someone shuts the heat off, it's Andrew Ferentz.
Yeah, well, maybe the Heat, but like somebody shut the Heat off, the Miami Heat tonight, and they were not good.
Did LA win?
I think they did. I mean, they were up 30 points with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
We're about to have a live reaction right now. Hold on. LA Lakers versus
a live one?
Just to see. Oh, God. The Lakers are in the championship.
Oh.
So does that mean they have more titles than the Celtics?
No, I think we're tied now.
Oh. So now we're both the Montreal Canadiens of basketball.
It happens.
Listen, you're tired. You did a couple tours. You've saved people. You have a tree business. You've played in the NHL. I mean, this is Lucas Carr.
No stats, dude. I got no stats. I can't take that one.
A lot of people don't have stats.
Fucking building thing. It was, I don't know. I get the pictures to prove it, but like, I got nothing crazy.
That's the stats. That's all the stats you need.
No, I got nothing, man. But we gotta keep connecting like this, where there's more funnier stories.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we'll meet up with you on the rooftop deck or on your boat or whatever, man.
Yeah, I'll text you about all that stuff when it I don't know, maybe this week you guys we'll spend a day on Marina Bay on like Saturday or something.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're wide open. I'm wide open. So
it's like that Seinfeld episode when Jerry like told Poppy to like create his own Pakistani kitchen called the Dream Cafe, and there was no people that showed up. Poppy, you tell your chef I want the works.
We don't need people to show up, pal.
Welcome to the Dream Cafe.
All right, Lucas Carr, thank you for your service. Thank you for joining on our podcast after hours. Shu and Isaiah had to go to bed because they're 90 years old, but yeah. There's an argument. Yeah, they are.
Cialis can only get you so far. No offense, like, or time released Adderall. I don't know. It's one of the two, man. But hey, man, I'll be in touch. The show looks great, man, and we'll be rocking out soon, man. Oh, my Halloween party. I'm having a Halloween party. I think we should do a live broadcast for my Halloween party.
Oh yeah. When is it? I mean, do you want to say? I mean,
October 31st.
Oh, on Halloween.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna dress up this year as Rick Moranis.
Getting punched. I'll be the guy that's.
No, punched. I know, right? Think about it. I think I'm gonna dress up as Vince Clortho when he has like the bowl on his head and he's got the strap and he's like, they're trying to figure out if he's a dog or not.
We're gonna dress up as Rick Moranis from Spaceballs.
Oh, that's even better.
When will then be now?
Soon.
All right. On that note, Lucas Carr. Google him.
See you, buddy.
All right. See you, man.
This is Brad Marchand, and you're listening to Breaking the Ice with Josh Dolan. I don't think he would ever let a pizza get out the door before he buried the whole thing, so he likes to eat that kid.